So good morning, everyone, and welcome to this event. Maybe just before we start, I would kindly ask all those who haven't signed yet the presence form to do so. So it's just here on the table, or maybe Margherita, you can circulate it to the participants. So now welcome you all, ladies and gentlemen, to this event. Which is taking place in the EU Pastoral event, which is taking place in conjunction with the Global Refugee Forum here in Geneva. And I would like to give a special thanks to all the co-hosts of this linked event. Bonjour, Catherine. So Catherine has just arrived. So I would like to thank all the co-hosts. Can you hear me? Can you all hear me? Yes. Maybe. Is it fine now? Better? Yes. Oh, thanks. Thank you a lot. So, as I was saying, I would like to welcome you all to the EU Pastoral Linked event, which is co-organized by ICMC Europe, the Federation of Evangelical Churches in Italy, FJ, and then Caritas Internationalis. And I would obviously also give a special thanks to colleagues from Caritas Italiana, especially Olivia Roforti and Margherita Mazzucchetti, who have provided us with great support in shaping and preparing for today's event. So thank you, Olivia, and thank you, Margherita. So by way of introduction, maybe a few words on the Global Refugee Forum, which is taking place. It starts officially tomorrow from the 13th to the 15th of December. And the Global Refugee Forum is held every 4 years, and the forum is the world's largest international gathering on refugees. And it is designed to support practical implementation of the Global Compact on refugees. And it sets 4 main objectives. So ease pressure, just by way of reminder. So it's ease pressure on host countries, enhance refugee self-reliance, increase access to third country solutions, and then finally improve conditions in countries of origin for safe return and dignity. So the forum provides obviously the opportunity for states and other stakeholders to announce concrete pledges, contributions. It highlights progress made in the implementation of the Global Compact on refugees. It takes stocks of challenges and opportunities ahead and share and contribute with best practices like the one that we are going to present here today on humanitarian corridors and labor and education corridors, and which could obviously be implemented also in other, countries. So this is obviously what we hope to give an example and hopefully, give ideas also to other countries and states to implement corridors and education and labor pathways. So EU Pastoral is a 3-year project to improve links between community sponsorship and complementary admission pathways for refugees and explore options to increase the numbers of refugees received via these pathways. So the project runs from 2022 to 2024, and it's a consortium of 11 state, civil society, and faith-based partners, and it implements specific activities to expand labor and education corridors in Belgium, Ireland, and Italy. So in its 2020 recommendations on legal protection pathways in the EU, the European Commission reiterated that community sponsorship should play a structured role in welcoming and integrating those in need of international protection and support for settlement, humanitarian admission, and complementary education and employment. So since then, the project, thank you, co-funded by the European Union's Asylum, Migration and Integrated Funds, such as the EU Pastoral and Displaced Talent for Europe, have been piloting different policy approaches to education and labor pathways, testing the extent to which involving host communities and reception and offering comprehensive integration support to incoming students and workers, complementary skills-based pathways, which can make them more sustainable. So the objectives of today's event, in a nutshell, is obviously to share the European experiences of complementary pathways and analyze their connection with community sponsorship programs, with the aim of promoting an inclusive dialogue on the contribution and unique experience of each actor and stakeholder involved in this process. And as part of the complementary pathways, Humanitarian and education corridors have stood out as being a successful experience involving both institutions and civil society, bringing together a wide range of stakeholders, including representatives of UNHCR, governments, and some countries of first asylum. From the voices of different actors and through interactive and experience sharing sessions, we are seeking to gain a deep understanding of the journey of the people who have benefited from humanitarian corridors. And we will also hear maybe from one beneficiary who could benefit from that and who is here among us today. And from beginning to their inclusion of in host societies. And so we also wish to emphasize the main objectives of the complementary pathway to guarantee refugees and other people in serious need for safe access to host countries and for full inclusion in host communities through a fruitful cooperation between public and private stakeholders. So humanitarian corridors stand out as a model of solidarity that changed the narrative about refugees and can potentially be replicated in other states and contexts. So today we will have two panel discussions, one on focus on humanitarian corridors and the other one on education and labor pathways. And before passing on the floor to Kathleen for the moderation of the first panel discussion, I would kindly like to give the floor to Monsignor Robert Phillips, the Secretary General from ICMC, who is one of the co-sponsors for this event, for who also welcome.
Thank you very much, and I want to say a special congratulations and thanks to Floriana for all the work she has done on this together with the other organizers. It's a real honor for ICMC, the International Catholic Migration Commission, to be co-sponsoring this side event. We were founded 72 years ago by Pius XII. And since that time, we've always been involved in trying to find new and different ways, pathways for people who need experiences and settlements in a third country. And, the Catholic Church is great with very flowery language when they create an organization, but they don't do too much about getting you the resources to do the work that you've been told to do by the Holy Father and by many other officials at the Vatican. So at the beginning of our work, we began resettling refugees to the United States, to Canada, to Latin America, Australia, and other places in Europe, because there were certainly so many people, many stateless, in fact, after World War II. And we continued that kind of work ever since in different parts of the world where the needs are the greatest. And so it's also very good for us now to be involved in the whole area of complementary pathways, especially our work in ICMC Europe, a separate organization, but part of the larger global ICMC family. And I'm really glad that Gabriella will be able to speak later in the program too, because she's our program director in ICMC Europe, which is based in Brussels. And very much involved with the Passport program as well. So it's good to be here, and I wish you the best during this meeting, and also all of us the best as we engage in the Global Refugee Forum.
Already with us, and see us now.
Thank you. Good morning to all. Thank you for having me waited a bit because there's a lot of traffic this morning, as we've noticed, because not only we have high-level people here in Geneva for the second Global Forum of Refugees, but you have also 2 days of high-level VIPs, chief of state that are here for the 75th anniversary of the Human Rights Declaration, the Declaration of Human Rights. And I think that the topic that will be discussed here today with all these experts is in fact covering both events, as the security and safe pathways for migration is also a question and issue of respect of human rights, because each of us have the right of having a job, having a house, and having a normal life, respecting the basic human rights. So, as Floriana said, we are now going to talk about the first topic, and I will introduce you quickly the people that we will have in this panel. Okay, we have Syed Asmin. He's the president of UNAR, National Association of Refugees in Italy, and excuse me? Unire. Sorry for my accent.
Because UNAR
Okay, so no confusion here, no confusion. So we go into more details a bit later when he will take the floor. We have also Alessandra Morelli, who is a former senior officer representing UNHCR for 30 years. So I suppose that we've experienced a lot of different situations, and of course your testimonies will be of great value, and also about the need of having these kind of legal and safe pathways. And we also hear Oliviero Forti, who's the head of migration policies and international protection of Caritas Italiana. And before starting to ask questions and to know more about the safe pathways and the actual situation that most of us know, we'll watch a video clip. I don't know if you're ready. Yes, thank you. A video clip to explain us a little bit more about the epic stories of 2 cousins who live in Dakar, who in fact left Dakar and set out for Europe. So I'll let you watch me.
Li tax ma bëgg a dem, li tax may gàddaay. ñoo bëgg a dem tukki Europe. Li tax ma bëgg a dem, li tax may gàddaay.
xaalis matugul jarul compter.
sunu gaay yi mbëkkoon daaw.
tiitumaas nga nekk stade bu mag tubaab bu xonk cur bu xonkul doo ko signal bu xonk cur ngay signé autographe. yaa tey dama bëggoon ñu waxtaan.
gis nga fii ma nekk fi laa bëgg nga nekk fi ñu bokk li ñuy nooyi maa ngi
gidi baa ngi nii di dem te bu ñu fi bàyyi ñuy des ci désert bi.
dama ragal du ma gisati sama yaay dama bëggoon a gis sama yaay ne ko mu baal ma àq.
Si jamais tu conduis le bateau, je t'emmène toi et ton ami pour le même prix.
Mais moi, j'ai jamais conduit un bateau. Je sais même pas nager. Vous voulez nous faire mourir ici, en pleine mer?
Thank you. Thank you. So you've seen, I mean, this is a little, I mean, some images of what these people are living in order to seek a bit of freedom and to have access to decent work. Because most of them, it is that also. It's not only in awful situations of freedom, but it is also the fact that most of these countries are already impacted by climate change. We have COP28 that is unable to find a solution now, but all these situations, questions, issues are interlinked. And in order to better understand from where we start, so that's the reason why, as introduction, we had that video clip, but we have those two experts with us. Syed Asnain, so as I mentioned, you're the president of UNIRE, and you experienced the route of migrants. So you came from Afghanistan to Italy, and it took you 8 years to cross so many countries, and you've experienced different difficult situations in the countries that you passed, like Iran, Turkey, Greece, and at that time you were a child, meaning a minor. So could you tell us briefly about this experience, but also how you would, what kind of solution you would advise the legislators, the countries that are supposedly supposed to receive, to protect migrants, and particularly children, because you were a child. So I ask you.
Thank you. And if you want, you prefer to sit, please.
No, thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. As mentioned, I'm Syed. I'm originally from Afghanistan. I just want to show you this slide in order to make you understand what it means when we don't have safe pathways because of irregularized route to Europe. When I was at the age of 10, I was sent out of Afghanistan by mom, and just to not be enrolled with Taliban in the 90s to fight in civil war. And I have been from 2001 till 2004 in Pakistan, in that area. And then the green one, that is the second route that I have been, I went in Iran. This whole route, the synthesis of this long route is torture, detention, being victim of labor exploitation, being victim of racism, discrimination, because we know very well that when the conflict started in Afghanistan, many Afghan refugees, they seek protection in Pakistan and in Iran, in these two neighboring countries. And unfortunately, especially in Iran, there is a huge discrimination. And then also detention in Iran, forced deportation to Afghanistan, and then again, organizing the journey to arrive in Turkey, and then from Turkey by boat, putting my life together with other my friends that we were together in the journey, in the trip. So I arrived in Greece, and when normally many refugees, many people that they seek protection, when they arrive in Europe, they have this image of that your human rights is guaranteed in Europe. But unfortunately, that was not the case in Turkey, because again, I was there as a victim of labor exploitation, and then I again organized my journey, another very dangerous journey, because I went to Patra city, where is a big harbor, the ships goes to Italy, and then every day with the support of help of smugglers trying to hide under the truck. And once I managed to arrive in, to get on the truck and get also on the ship and arrive in Italy in 2007. So what it means when we don't have safe pathways, especially I call it humanized pathways, because you take care of dignity of people, and especially these traumas, these journeys, these leave you signs that it is lifetime, and then you should be there to somehow deal with these traumas. So I think this is also an issue when you are a refugee, a person that don't have the opportunity to come safely in a country that he wants to arrive. It means that that person that has been through those traumas will be somehow there will be difficulties, there will be challenges in order to be included in the society because he has those background of traumas. And just to also make understand the impact of our work, I often somehow speak about this experience. So when I arrived in Italy, I was under the truck, and it was a very dangerous journey. It was on the motorway, the truck. Finally, I broke a pipeline, pipeline of the oil, and the truck stopped. And it was in a small town, Torricuso, close to Benevento. And then I started to find support and help from local people. And this person, Carmine Calabrese, he trusted me. Even I was in a very extreme condition. He took me in his pizza shop, and he gave me warm clothes and food. And this because my idea and my intention was to go in UK in 2007 when I arrived. But his human and very welcoming behavior changed my mind. So this is the meaning of a person that has impact on the life of other person. So I said that I don't want to continue. This is first time that I have experienced such human behavior from a person. So I think during my pathway, in order to somehow be adjusted and included in Italian society, there will be many people. In fact, I encountered many people like him along my journey. So this is really important that we take in consideration that each action of us every day, that we work with people affect their life, maybe in a positive way, maybe also in a negative way. If you kindly change the slide. And just to conclude, this is a phrase from Gandhi, that whatever you do for me, but without me, you do against me. We established this organization, UNIRE, which is a refugee-led organization in Italy, is to make meaningful participation for refugees a reality. Because we know very well that we design, we develop, we make programs, we approve laws, legislations, but without taking in consideration the views of refugees, asylum seekers, the people that they have been through. Because the main value and the main point that we are struggling and we are making somehow understand each stakeholder is that lived experience is really important. We need to hear, to listen to them. So therefore, my recommendation here is that let us make more humanized pathways for people seeking protection, because each year the number of people that they are displaced globally, it is increasing. So it means that if we make those opportunities, we are more prepared to new challenges, especially climate change and etc. And secondly, let us make our projects, let us start partnership on equal level with refugee-led organizations, with their communities. From the beginning, from the design of any program, any project, any proposal, let us include them. That come, what you think, how we can make this really efficient, and it is somehow a need-based approach. Yeah. So this is my recommendation. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Carlos. We would like to listen to you even more. For you to bring your experience that was tough, but we're happy that you found some humanity during these tough years. So that means that there's still hope out there. And we don't forget that for the moment, you have already more than 850,000 refugees that have been expelled from Iran and Pakistan back to Afghanistan, and that Afghanistan is ruled by Taliban. So these people are exposed to awful situations. And it is, as you mentioned, it is a pity. We know that UNHCR is doing its best. We know. No, I know, but you've been experienced, you've been working during 30 years in UNHCR, and we know that in the field, the organization UNHCR is very active, very supportive. We know also that recently, yesterday, the head of relief, Mr. Martin Griffiths, did launch the 2024 aid appeal, and that it is reaching $46.5 billion for 2024, and they're doing their best because they won't be able to help all the people that are needing help. And so I'm coming back to you, Alessandra Morelli, about your experience. These images that we've just watched on the screen were shot in Niger, in Africa. You've been in that country a couple of years. Could you share about your experience with an African country? How people are in fact thinking? What are the main reasons for them that are pushing them to leave? Is it their own decision? Is it a decision from the family? Is it, as Sayed mentioned, also the impact of climate change? So, Alessandra, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Indeed, yes, I've been working for 30 years with UNHCR. I was a senior officer, mainly managing the operations on the ground. My last post was in Niger, as I was the representative. But the way I think, the way I'm elaborating, the way I now present with conferences around Italy, this is what I do now that I am retired, is to enter exactly in that philosophy. It's a question of humanity. Everything we say here, I hope everything we say at the Global Refugee Forum is a question of humanity, and that's why we need to stop and reflect. Is the philosophy of care, is the economy of care, that's where we have to enter, that's where the change have to start. I've always operated in what we call in the UN and in the humanitarian world, high-risk environments. I've operated in asymmetric environments where predominantly the status quo was not knowing what was going to happen 5 minutes later. In that situation, conflict, but not just conflict or war, asymmetric warfare against terrorism. So my experience is diving in with all my body, with all my mind, with the team, into the reality of terrorism that has one objective: erase future, erase possibility, and define that one part of humanity is not to be inserted in the context of humanity. Afghanistan, 5 years, I saw what happens from hope to starting all over again. The Sahel has been home for me for the past 4 years, and it's in the Sahel that we have been thinking on what mixed migration is. It started in Greece, this new reality of new way of moving, sometimes in secondary movement from countries of first asylum. We have seen it with you from Pakistan onwards. Why? Because today we are not able to break peace. We are in third, almost going to fourth generation of people living in asylum, sitting in a non-place, in a non-space, because it's in the space, it's in nel luogo, as we say in Italian, dans le lieu that we grow, that we build, that we plan, that we put in motion our talents. In the non-space, we're just waiting for something to happen, the return. The return is almost impossible. The return has become almost a non-solution because we don't know how to stop wars that are multiplying. Therefore, we look ahead, we move ahead. That's what mankind does. In the Sahel, I have came in contact with that. I have to say I'm very honored. I gave my consultancy to the film of Garrone, especially the part that goes from the Niger, from the Agadez towards the Libya. And what Garrone says and what Said has says is a journey that starts with hope, but ends in hell. And that's why we need to intervene. We need to intervene because it's a part of humanity that goes into hell. And that's the motivation for us to enter. And that's why, in my experience, apart from resettlement, everything that is complementary to resettlement, because let's be very clear, when we do this type of reflection and when we are in forums like this, we have to say the truth so that we can continue to be innovative. The resettlement process is very slow. It's a bureaucratic, very slow process. And therefore, when you operate in high-risk environments, like I did in the Sahel, most of the time I need something that is quick, that is rapid, that is human. That is the involvement of the civil society that also offers a response to help. It's not only the state, but the complementary pathways has this in the DNA. It's civil society that says, I stand for solidarity and I will do something to regain that dignity. I'm repeating your words. They're totally mine, and I make them and I unite with you. The complementary pathway for me in the Niger was the tool where we could save lives. I partnered with Caritas. I see Oliviero is here. It's a very emotional moment for me. I see there is Daniele, where basically we sat in a table and said how we operate a complementary pathway in the middle of the mess of the war against terrorism. Niger is that. Niger is the place where you have the pressure from Burkina Faso, the pressure from Mali, the pressure from the terrorism for the Greater Sahel, the pressure from Boko Haram coming from the north of Nigeria, the pressure from Libya, the pressure from Algeria, which every day refuses that part of humanity, puts them on a track and reverses them in the Sahel again. Why this mess? Because the normal routine of legal migration was broken by the war in Libya, by the externalization of the borders requested by Europe to Algeria. Today, we don't have legal migration, circular migration, but we have countries, most of the time, I'm very afraid to say in the West, that are asking other countries to become containers. We have to refuse this. Containers of human beings. I don't care how you treat them, just become a container. I'm going to pay you so that you become a container. I can speak freely, but that's the reality. So, how to break this, if not with solidarity? Solidarity is the only light and star that solves human crisis. You have nothing else on earth. No bureaucracy, no politics, solidarity, DNA of mankind. And the response to solidarity in practice becomes the welcoming, l'accueil, l'accoglienza, which today in the Western world we are teaching our kids that the accueil, l'accoglienza, the welcoming takes away something from us. That's not the case. We have to fight this. Complementary pathways are a response to regaining the human values into action. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Alessandra, because you said it all. And that goes also through education. Education of kids, you know, when they have tendency to help each other, to be very nice, open, have a lot of generosity, in fact, becoming adults are stopping them. saying that it's threatening them, which is not the case. And we all know, as you said, now that you're not in the system anymore, you can speak freely. Me, as a correspondent and a journalist, I'm speaking freely, and I've seen what you've said. It's right that the reality of the field has nothing to do what is said here in the offices, even with the best will of certain people. It is clear that also Western countries can not live and function without migration, because populations are too old. And also, we have to admit that here also there's certain jobs that Western people don't want to occupy. They don't want to do. Take care of elderly people, work in hospitals, take care of certain things that is in fact for Western people, in fact, not clean enough, not high level enough, which is stupid, because we all need support and we have to support each other. So Alessandra and Sayed, thank you so much for being here. I'm sure that we'll have the opportunity to exchange more with you one-to-one.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for being there. And both of you, thank you and congratulations for using your experience in helping the others.
Thank you.
And the societies. Thank you.
Thank you.
A big applause to both of them. So I now call please Oliviero Forti, the head of Migration Policies and International Protection of Caritas Italiana, who knows very well Alessandra, I understood. We'll have also another person that is going to join us a bit later. But first of all, we are going to ask you about what you do in your job. It's important to explain a bit to us, you know. Be careful, don't hurt your head. Yes. So all the panelists, Floriana asks me kindly to request all the panelists to please come here in the front and sit. That means Maria Francesca Lenzi, Maher Zaza, Guilhem Mante, and Gabriela Agatiel. Please, could you come here in the front row and take a seat? Thank you to all of you. So, Olivier, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Thank you to all of you to be here today for exchanging experiences, thoughts about the complementary pathways, not only. As you know, Caritas Italiana and particularly the Italian Church decided in 2017 to open this legal opportunity for refugees. And this idea started after a very tricky period. I remember the Arab Springs, and during this year also the situation of a Balkan route. And so the question for us was, how can we contribute to open legal and safe pathways? So starting from the legal European framework, we found the opportunity to promote a new way for legal entry of refugees called Humanitarian corridors. So we started in Africa, particularly in Ethiopia, and we adopted the UN criteria. So this kind of program are for vulnerable people, and we are going to see in the next video a very nice story of a young people that we selected in Ethiopia, and we put her in the humanitarian corridors in 2018. And the idea through this kind of complementary pathways, you know that when we call complementary pathways, we want to underline that there is not only a resettlement program. The resettlement program is as you know, the main instrument in order to reset people from a third country to the country of destination. But the idea was how the civil society can support this kind of program. And for this reason, we started with the humanitarian corridors, because it's not only the idea to select people and to move people from Niger, from Ethiopia, or Jordan, or Turkey, or Pakistan, I don't remember how many other countries. So many countries, but is how we can involve our Christian communities at national level in this kind of journey. So in the long story of immigration in Italy, the mechanism was, and until now is, we receive people who are disembarking to Lampedusa. And so we receive a phone call from the police who say that, please, Caritas of Palermo, Milan, can you take these people for reception? So we say, yes, okay, but we don't know anything about these people. We receive people from every part of Africa or Middle East, but we don't know anything. Through the humanitarian corridors, we know before they arrive who are there. So our Diocese Caritas have the opportunities to meet them through the online call. So we prepare a dossier for each beneficiary, and in this way we are having a very good response at ground level, because in this way the people, the Christian communities, are knowing the phenomenon of refugees, not through the media, but directly meeting these people. So our main purpose through the humanitarian corridors is to give the opportunity to our communities to have these kinds of experience. And this way we are going to change the narrative about migration and refugees. Only in this way we can probably in the future convince the countries to open more places, more pledges for refugees at world level through the resettlement, but also through the complementary pathways, not only humanitarian corridors, also others. And for this reason, I want to underline that we are implementing with UNHCR also the Unicorn project. It's a project for student pathways. We are giving the opportunity to many students from Africa to study in Italy in close cooperation with several universities, but we are going to discuss about it in the second part of this meeting. But at the same time, we are experiencing also the labor pathways. So we are trying to find all the solutions for these people. For sure, we have not the resources to give the opportunity to thousands of people. You can imagine, so it's very expensive, it's very difficult, but it's, as I say, it's a drop in the ocean, but it's so important because in this way we are going to change the narrative at national, but also at the European level. We receive funds from the EU for several projects as the EU Password project, but also others that we are going to implement in the future. And this means that there is a very high attention to this experience. So we have to continue, and so I am so happy to have all of you here today. Not only are involved directly on complementary pathways, and this is a very positive message for me. And so I hope to continue. I hope to maintain this link at international, national, and mainly at local level, because the real difference is at local level. Because the integration process is the local level. I can do a very huge work at international level. It's important, it's necessary, but if I don't have the communities available to receive these people and to start with a real integration process, the humanitarian corridor is nothing. And so a huge part of this project is to build the Christian communities environments in order to receive these people. It's hard, but it is possible. And so we are trying to demonstrate this. And I just came back one week ago from Pakistan. So we resettled 93 Afghan people. It has been very hard. The situation in Pakistan is absolutely, I can say, out of control. I don't know, but we are very near this situation. But we are continuing because we believe that these people can reach Europe not only through irregular migration, but through this kind of legal and safe pathways. It's so important for all of us and for refugees. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. So now we're going to watch the video you were talking about.
Mara iska soray dhahaan anina iska diida way igu jiidaanba banaanka marka tagana way aayaan aska iska soray dhahaan anina diida aniga waa absada aska arkayna waa ka qarsadaan أنا لي حياتي إن أنا أروح أبرته وأقدر شنو أنا حلو ومعلم أنا حلو.
Hope is everywhere. And hope was mentioned this morning to the Chief of States by the High Commissioner Volker Turk in his opening speech to the heads of states that hope needs to exist in order for communities, societies to go forward. So I'll now give the floor to Maria Francesca Lenzi. She's representative of Federation of Protestant Churches. She's a social servant within the Humanitarian Corridor program in Parma, and she's following the integration process of some beneficiaries who are welcomed by communities in several Italian cities and villages. I mean, as was just mentioned, the integration starts from the villages, from the people. So you will be able certainly to explain us how does the implementation work, and if it's easy to work in order to integrate the refugees in local communities. Thank you. Francesca.
Good morning, and thank you for inviting Dr. Valdese to join the panel. So yes, I'm a social worker. I've been working with Diaconia Valdese for almost 6 years now. I'm based in Parma in the north of Italy. And if you're not familiar with it, the Valdensian Church is a Protestant evangelical church that's active in Italy and Switzerland. And it's been operating since 1975 together with Italian Methodist Church. So I would like to start with a brief overview of our program. So, okay, in 2013, as we sadly recall, 2013 saw the tragic shipwreck of a fishing boat that had left from Libya, where almost 400 people died or were presumed missing, and only 155 people were rescued. And in that same year, the war in Syria escalated with chemical weapons attacks launched on the population. And so it became clear that the need for safe ways to reach Europe was a matter of the utmost urgency. So in December 2015, the Italian Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Italian Ministry of Interior, Committee of Sant'Egidio, a federation of Italian Protestant churches, CEI, and the Valdensian Board signed the first memorandum of understanding that allowed 1,000 people who were fleeing from wars and persecution a safe and legal entry into Italy. The first agreement was then followed by 4 more opening corridors from Lebanon, Libya, and Afghanistan. So the main objectives of the programme are, first of all, to avoid the deadly boat trips in the Mediterranean Sea, combat smuggling and human trafficking, grant people in vulnerable conditions legal entry into Italy with a humanitarian visa and the opportunity to then apply for asylum at a later date, and promotes safety for migrants and for local communities as well. Because visas are issued after checks are carried out by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So humanitarian corridors, as we said, are aimed at the most vulnerable, and they are usually families with children, single parents, elderly people, people with disabilities or illnesses, like we just saw in the clip. Illnesses that can be adequately cured in their country of origin, victims of human trafficking, torture, and violence, and people with mental health issues. Thank you. Okay, so could we have the next slide, please? Thank you. So, arrival in Italy. So this is the part that concerns myself and my colleagues most. What happens after the beneficiaries' arrival in Italy and after their transfer to their destination? Humanitarian corridors are based on a widespread reception model that allows us to support the start of their integration pathway as well as we possibly can. The beneficiaries are housed in private accommodation, which might sometimes be shared according to their specific needs. As much as it is possible, we try to match the most suitable locations to the beneficiary's particular needs. So if, for instance, we know that a beneficiary needs frequent medical treatment, we will place them in a city with a hospital around them, say in the countryside. Yep, that's great. Thank you. So on a very practical level, this is what we do on a daily basis. We assist beneficiaries in all aspects of the legal and bureaucratic process. So from applying for asylum through to the interview with a territorial commission and obtaining documents by the local questura or city council. We help them register with national healthcare and their local GP surgeries, assist in finding psychological support. We sometimes provide or sometimes enroll in Italian, so adults in Italian literacy and language classes, enroll children in schools and young adults in universities. We provide intercultural mediation and orientation to available services in their local area. We facilitate active job hunting because we never replace the beneficiaries, so we don't do things instead of them or for them, but we facilitate them that they're actively
doing all these things. And we help them find vocational training courses or apprenticeships and support them with end-of-program housing solutions. So I looked up the definition of integration, and that's the act of bringing someone into an already existing group or system. And that group, in our case, is their local community. So I cannot stress enough that community sponsorship is key. The support of the local community becomes a crucial resource for integration and for a meaningful outcome of the programme. And what constitutes community: schools, universities, local councils, social services, local healthcare authorities, job centres, but also clubs, associations, charities, volunteers, private individuals, and churches. So it's a collaborative effort between local public authorities and groups of private citizens. The active role a community can have is exceptionally relevant. An engaging community gives a sense of belonging, which in turn helps develop a personal and collective identity. It builds a sense of acceptance, motivation, encouragement, and ultimately it builds psychological well-being. And also sharing fun and relaxed moments as well as working together makes the whole process of integration much more enjoyable. And by doing all this, community creates an environment that values and respects all individuals, and that is the meaning of inclusion. So what we also ask ourselves is, if a community has the power to contribute to our beneficiaries' integration pathway, what impact has the programme on the local communities? So as I mentioned earlier on, the widespread reception model avoids putting pressure on local services. And by welcoming refugees, people can put a name and a face, and importantly, a story to a reality they might otherwise perceive as far as removed from their own. Engaging fosters a climate of understanding and acceptance of displaced people, creating more meaningful connections and acting as an example for the rest of the community. And last but not at all least, by volunteering, members of the community put their skills and time to use. So they feel like a valuable and appreciated resource. Most of our volunteers have retired from their jobs, and by volunteering they feel useful and active in the community again. The purpose of Humanitarian Corridors is to provide the necessary tools to enable our beneficiaries to build a pathway towards autonomy. Project lasts about around 2 years. We are clearly aware that this time frame doesn't suit all of our beneficiaries and may not be enough to reach that level of autonomy that you need, that is required to live independently. So when that is the case, we attempt to place them in secondary reception programs in order to give them a bit more time, to allow them more time to build, to continue on their integration pathway. I'll just close with just a few numbers. So at the moment, Diaconia Valdese, with the latest arrivals from the end of last week, is currently housing 303 people, all spread around the whole of Italy, literally from top to bottom, in about 10 counties, 10 regions. Diaconia Valdese has welcomed 1,210 beneficiaries since 2016. The programme is funded largely by this discretional 0.8% tax allocated by Italian taxpayers who are supportive of the Valdensian and Methodist churches, but also by international ecumenical networks and fundraiser. And just to close, in 2019, thank you, last slide, in 2019, Humanitarian Corridors received the Nansen Refugee Award from the UN High Commissioner for Refugees, which recognises outstanding service to the cause of refugees, displaced or stateless persons. Thank you.
Thank you, Francesca. How much does a program cost, approximately?
Well, different corridors have different budgets.
So what is the average? As far as you know?
I don't think.
I can say.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, no, probably, I don't know for Evangelic Church, but for Caritas, it's around 10,000 euro for each beneficiary. Depends how long they stay, because sometimes they arrive and after a few weeks, they leave Germany, but if they stay for 12 months, which is the period of the program, yeah, you have to invest around 10,000 euros. Yeah, no, it's the same amount that the Italian government is investing for people, receiving them in the big structure. It's a very different way, so it's not so huge.
So it shows that with few money, I mean, you can really change the life of people.
Yeah, sure.
So, Maher, Zaza. Yes. So I hope I pronounced well. So we are Maher.
Maher,
Okay.
yes.
Where are you originally from?
I am Palestinian,
Palestinian
refugee from Syria.
From Syria. So, and you're now an engineer?
I am mechanical engineer.
Yes. So please come over and tell us about your story.
Okay.
Please.
Good morning, all. My name is Maher Zaza. I am a Palestinian refugee from Syria. I am a mechanical engineer from Beirut Arab University in Lebanon. I came to Italy since 2019 with the Humanitarian Corridor because my brother had a blood cancer, leukemia. It was very difficult. We came to Italy to do the blood transfer of the bone marrow because she had the blood cancer, and with many type of cycles, chemotherapy, at the end he needed to do bone marrow transplant. I decided with my brother to come to Italy to donate. I donate my stem cells to my brother in Italy. I called the Humanitarian Corridor in Beirut, Dr. Luciano. We are lucky he accepted my request. We came to Italy after 3 months of my question directly from Beirut to Venice and then Padova, Hospital of Padova. In Padova, my brother did 2 types of chemotherapy, then directly to the bone marrow transplant. I donate my stem cell to my brother. Unfortunately, at the end, my brother doesn't accept my stem cells. The situation became bad and bad. I lost my brother. November 2019. It was a shock. I am here with my brother and with my wife came after 1 month of my arrival here. So I am alone, but it's not possible to give up. I need to start up again. I am an engineer. I need to find my path here in Italy. With the social work of Diaconia Valdesi, I did the recognition of my certificates. I get a mechanical engineer from Padova, 3 years of mechanical engineer. I did the formation, professional formation in 3 dimensions. But I like to work like as a designer engineer. Now I am an employee in one of the Italian companies in Provincia di Padova as a designer engineer with the contract unlimited. With unlimited contract. I am so happy. I am so happy. The product of Diaconia Valdesi has a limit. So at the end, I need to go out. So I need to be autonomy. I searched in different ways to rent a house, but all you know that in Italy to rent a house for Italian is difficult. For a refugee, it's like impossible. So I saved the money apart. Then I bought my own house. Now I am in my own house with my wife and a little son, Skama Muhammad, as the name of my brother. It's the same. 2 years and a half. 2 years and a half. Thank you so much. I am so happy. I am now autonomy with my own house, with my job. I like it. With the team of the company name Produmix, Provincia do Padova. Thank you all for here. Thank you so much.
I mean, these are the kind of stories that I would like to see in the press, but unfortunately, we're forbidden to publish things like that because we have to follow what the politics are telling us to do. But this is really wonderful. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Really. I mean, seeing you happy make us happy. And give us a hope. So I now turn to Guilhem Mante, who is coordinateur du programme Accueil de l'étranger in French. And okay, what about France and implementation? I mean, you've certainly heard that there's a big mess. Yesterday night, they were supposed to pass a law about migration and they failed once more. They're hitting and fighting. So please, Guilhem, tell us about hope. Give us elements of hope.
In the current French context, it's not that easy to provide hope, but yeah, so I'm working for the Fédération de l'Entraide Protestante, which is the mutual aid of Protestant churches in France. We are part of the ICMC Share network. We work a lot as well with our Italian colleagues, Caritas, FC, Diaconia Valdese. And I would like to give a bit of an input on how we implemented complementary pathways in France, how it started, how we also get inspired by the Italian model. So I would say that since 2015, 2016, there were a strong involvement of Protestant communities in France in trying to find responses against the closure of the European borders in relation to the war in Syria and Iraq. And the Protestant Federation received a lot of willingness from a member of parishes, from citizens wanting to mobilize and to welcome refugees in this context. So they started gathering, and we used at that time a legal instrument that facilitated the arrival of refugees in France, with the possibility to ask a visa for asylum. So you see the French specificity. And since 2014, 2015, citizens mobilized to welcome a person that would ask for a visa for asylum to come to France. This initiative joined another initiative that was led by Catholic partners, Caritas, Bishop Conference, the Committee of Sant'Egidio, who started humanitarian corridors in Italy in 2016. And based on this first experience of implementing humanitarian corridors, we discussed with the French government, and it led to the signature of the first protocol in 2017, 1 year after the Italian corridors, between two French Protestant organizations, so the Federation of the Churches and the Federation of the Diaconie, which is the Fédération d'Entraide Protestante, and Caritas France, the Bishop Conference, and the Committee of Sant'Egidio. So 5 partners signing an agreement with the French government to welcome 500 persons within the framework of this agreement from Lebanon, with the same kind of protocol than the Italian protocol based on eligibility related to international protection and specific vulnerabilities for these persons. So that was the first agreement signed in 2016. It came from a community-led initiative, and it went all the way to signing an agreement with the French government. Those 500 persons were welcomed between 2017 and 2020. Now we signed a second agreement in 21 to welcome 300 persons, only for the Fédération d'Entraide Protestante, and Sant'Egidio signed another agreement to welcome 300 persons as well. So we welcome a bit more than 400 persons now for the Fédération d'Entraide Protestante, and in total, through humanitarian corridors, it's a bit more than 700 persons that has been welcomed since 2017. So it's really rooted in the communities. This welcome is based on sponsor group initiative wanting to provide housing to refugees, and we slowly and progressively develop an overall infrastructure and scheme around this community sponsorship initiative, meaning that we have that are permanently based in Lebanon now, working on identification, referral, and orientation of persons to France. So we are closely working with our Italian partners and FJ in identifying refugees in need of international protection through humanitarian corridors. And then we have a reception system in France that is now based on sponsor groups support, but also with regional intermediary organizations that also provide administrative and social support to beneficiaries. So this is very important for us because we have refugees that are sometimes hosted in rural areas, a bit far from services that are typically available for people in need of it, for asylum seekers and beneficiaries of international protection. So it's very important to have regional intermediary organization providing support in the asylum request and in all the different administrative and social procedures. So we have this overall mechanism. We also supported the development of university corridors in France with UNHCR and other civil society partners. So in last September, it was the second arrival of students within the university corridors mechanism in France. So it's a bit more than 30 students that have been supported and welcomed in France through this mechanism. And I would say that what we live through humanitarian corridors and what we observed is exactly what has been shared since the beginning of this conversation, meaning that what we see is for the person that are hosted, the fact that since the day of arrival and even before that, in Lebanon, the fact that they are supported in their visa request in Lebanon, that from Lebanon they are already linked with the support groups that will support them, that will receive them, and the fact that when they arrive in France, they have 20 to 30 persons forming these welcoming communities. It's really helped them to develop a sense of belonging to their new home and to their new society. Because for them, this is fundamental and crucial to have this citizenship and sponsorship environment and to be rooted in their local community. For the local community, this is also what we observed, is that it also creates a change in the perception when welcoming refugees. So not only for the sponsor groups themselves, but also for their relatives, for the local community, and it's amazing. And it's completely the opposite of the narrative that is being now developed in France about how welcoming refugees is harming the society. It's completely the opposite, what we observe. It creates more solidarity in the local communities. And it's quite amazing to see what it develops for the local communities themselves. So we strongly believe that those kind of complementary pathways are fundamental, and we need resettlement, but we also need something additional, something that is also involving more local communities. So for us, it's also a way to advocate, and we try as well to involve sponsor groups, to involve refugees that are welcome to humanitarian corridors, to form this kind of a community, welcoming community around complementary pathways. So now the objective that we have as well is to see how we can try to make this mechanism, this scheme that was developed, a bit less fragile. Because at the moment, this complementary pathway has developed. It developed in a really ad hoc manner. It's led by civil society organizations. It depends on specific ad hoc protocols that are signed by the government, but there is not an overall architecture or an overall French policy around the development of safe and legal pathways. Apart from resettlement, where the French government is committed to resettlement, there is not really an overall architecture. So meaning that in terms of finance, it's supported by the civil society organizations, and the overall infrastructure and scheme that was developed was also developed by the civil society organizations, but there is no an overall French policies related to it. So our aim and our goal is trying to work as well with the French authorities to sustain this mechanism now. So we don't want to lose what the beauty of community sponsorship that is completely rooted in the communities. So we want to keep this alive, but we also want to make sure that this is a bit more sustainable in the future and more embedded in the national policies related to safe and legal pathways.
Thank you so much, Susan. And I suppose that you and Maria Francesca can also testify that it's maybe easier to integrate, for integration, if you go to small local communities instead to be thrown in big cities. Also maybe to face threats, and isn't it easier? Don't you have 100% success when it happens, no?
I would say that it's true that it can be sometimes for people that are from an urban context and urban background, they may have a bit of fear being welcome in rural areas in France, and even the rural context is different in France than it was in Lebanon or in Syria, and so they might fear that in terms of mobility, in terms of access to services, there will be less opportunities. But the fact that they are rooted in the community with the sponsor groups that are there for them, this is something that is fundamental, clearly. The thing is that they may not have the same opportunities to relate with members of their own communities in rural areas. So this is something we try to compensate by creating links, you know, through a video conference between the refugees within the humanitarian corridors, so they don't feel like they lose contact with their own communities. So this is very important as well, if they are in rural areas.
And language.
And language, yeah.
So if you're right in a country where you can practice, in fact, the same language that you spoke, for instance, French, for certain people. So, I mean, it's so interesting. We're running a bit late, so I have to say that first of all, we learned so much, and we understood, in order to wrap it up, that integration is based on hope and is based on trust, and that all of us, we can initiate and support beautiful projects as the one that has been described in this first roundtable. And we hope that all of you that are sitting here are going to advocate for such a project and make it known around you, to show that it is working and it is helping both sides, migrants, but also hosting communities or hosting countries. So thank you for all of us, for being here for this first panel. As we're running a bit late, there's coffee outside. So if you want a coffee, please grab your coffee and then come back to the room. And so like that, we can start quickly the second roundtable. Thank you for your attention.
Once that you, there was a file. So these are the things that we have the two things say. The first one will be education. That one. And this one comes just before the start up again. Yeah, you just have to a short introduction.
Let's try it. That's strong.
But that's right.
And then the big hero.
Yeah, make it
And if you share the file,
I do the same.
last time we did very not this one. No, that's not enough. They couldn't see. Please read the screen. Then share. Then you open, for example, whatever you have here, it's already here. See, that's what the participants see. But as you notice, now we have this problem with the screen. This is completely because they don't see it.
Just like when I bring it there. No, this you can bring this out. The other ones yeah, there will be 5 speakers for this panel. So the first one is start. But I will you'll get the other one is okay. But the two, there's just 2 movies. There's no sorry. We're not looking at this. No, oh yes, he's got that as well. It's sorry, I was just thinking of the slides from 30. 1, 3, and 5. At the beginning of the but she knows
I feel like I'm actually going to play this what you want me to get
You're closer to one another, physically closer.
Here is
That is very different.
no, but really, I mean, you really about the which happened before when it was they are ready to go.
I'm doing the speak up. And also criticize I think it's easy for our prime minister to aware.
Yeah, no, I mean,
Which are criminal. Okay, so you actions are right. Actually, my brother and I have here. Avec cette
tu vois, et il a donné un sinon, voilà, je suis qui a demandé
And I invite everyone to take their seats, please. Can I invite everyone to take their seats, please? I feel like the headmistress. So welcome back, everyone, to our second panel after, I think what we'll all agree has been a very interesting morning already. My name is Fiona Kendall, and I work with the Federation of Protestant Churches in Italy. It's a real pleasure for me to be here today, as you were hearing from our colleague at the Diaconia Valdese. FJ is one of the organisations which began the original pilot back in 2016 to bring people safely from Lebanon to Italy via humanitarian corridors. And for us, it's really interesting to look at the legacy of that small pilot that began only 7 years ago. Is quite incredible. The legacy that has not just seen the corridors go from and to different countries, but also expand into different kinds of pathways. And that's what the second panel is going to focus on, different kinds of pathways, specifically education and labour pathways. So still at their heart, people who are in need of international protection, but perhaps looking at those people with a wider, or maybe it's a narrower lens in a sense, because what these pathways aim to do is really maximise the potential of the people who are brought, either because they're on an academic path or on employment. We have a wonderful panel here today, 5 different speakers. We're going to begin first with academic pathways. And before I speak with our first speaker from the University of Lewis, we're just going to watch a short video to give us an introduction to education pathways. We have the first video. Thanks.
So my mom, being a teacher, she's always been passionate about education. So even from the time we were young, she would teach us from home, and she always made sure we knew that education was the only way out. Growing up as a refugee, I saw a lot of people getting sick and dying. I developed interest in medicine. What about we come up with a drug that is going to heal him? But I don't know, I was a very ambitious child, I should say. after I finished my university, I was like, no, definitely I have to upgrade. And I remember a group of my friends wanted to do that and they applied, and I was like, I'm also going to apply, but I realized there's no place for a refugee. So I was like, oh, now reality kicks in. I'm not like everybody. When I found out about UNICO, and for the first time, someone actually wanted a refugee, it was unbelievable, because the same thing that has been stopping me is now qualifying me.
Accogliere studentesse e studenti, rifugiate e rifugiati, significa per noi sostenere le loro ambizioni, i loro talenti, ma significa altresì garantire e dare visibilità, diciamo, al diritto allo studio, che è uno dei valori irrinunciabili per il nostro Ateneo, per l'istituzione universitaria. Non solo però, queste accoglienze sono un'esperienza veramente densa, veramente significativa per la comunità universitaria tutta e per il territorio locale in cui l'università si inserisce. In questo senso l'università diventa un po' il centro di se così posso dire, di un disegno di futuro aperto alle sfide della società contemporanea.
He motivates me to do everything I'm doing because I want him to have a different life than I had. I would say he's my main reason for everything I do, because I want him to look at me in the future and see no limitation in everything. There are not a lot of opportunities for refugees in general, and it's even worse with women. But if we can have more opportunities and we encourage women to actually take those opportunities, if they can see other women who are refugees like them going after such dreams, they will know that they don't just belong in the kitchen, they also belong there. So my mom, being a teacher,
So it's a great pleasure to welcome Professor Francesca Maria Corrao from the University of Lewis in Rome. She's a professor of Arabic language and culture, teaching Mediterranean history and culture at that university, and very much engaged in dialogue and interreligious dialogue in particular, and directly involved in the UNICOR program to which reference was made in the film. So Francesca Lewis is in the rare position of having been involved in the programme right since its inception. And I think it would be interesting for us to know something about the university's engagement with the programme, but in particular the lessons that you've learned over the period that you've been involved, how that experience has evolved over the period of 5 years.
Thank you very much. Maybe I can, yeah. Now I will come there. So thank you very much for this opportunity. Can you hear me? Yeah. That's perfect. So at Lewis, we started in 2017 a program of support to refugee students together with the UNHCR. And we had the special scholarship, which the Lewis University had organized together with the Foundation, the International Mediterranean Foundation Third Pillar, which is Terzo Pilastro. And since then, which is 2017, we have welcomed and gave the opportunity to 20 BA students to achieve their degree, and 17 MA students to achieve their degree. How did it work? It worked in the sense that we created a special foundation in order to raising money to give special scholarship, and we had created a double degree with the University of Petra in Jordan. And our agreement was with Jordan, with this, Malta and Morocco at the very beginning. These were the first 40 students, and among them, few already finished their degree, as I said before. And then we had the second edition. This second edition broadened the range of agreement and included also Turkey, but Turkey in the sense that there were students coming from Syria, which were refugees both in Jordan and in Turkey. Of course, the support of Caritas International, like the Rhodesian Diacony or Sant'Egidio, was extremely important for us, for our experience, because when we welcome the students, we start to get in touch with them through Zoom or videos in order to present the reality they're going to meet once they arrive in Italy. And of course, thanks to the HCR, we have the possibility to be sure about their degrees. And they start studying. This was the first group of students in Petra University in Jordan, in Amman. And from there, where we sent our professor, they could get in touch with our reality from a bureaucratic point of view perspective and from a scholar perspective, but also a human perspective, which is very important in order to include these students and make them feel at home. And personally, since I'm teaching Arabic, I organized the Tea for Two event in order to put together students from Jordan and Italian students so they could learn Italian while they were learning Arabic, and they could meet and discuss and know each other before their arrival in Italy. And that was very useful for them, because once they arrived, of course, they met the students of our welcome and administration staff of the welcome desk, where they supported them in the routine of bureaucracy at the Louis, which everywhere in university, you know, there are different obstacles to overcome in order to register, to understand how it works in university, how exams have to be organized. Then we have special tutors. The tutors are of different kinds. Tutors who will help you and support in understanding how it works, the degree, and where and how you have to pass the exam to get organized in order to finish your degree in time. And then we have another kind of tutors who will tell you how to study, how to prepare yourself for the exam, and how to be able to understand what the professor or the class is expecting from you, how to relate other students in class. And finally, there are two more tutors. One is for those who have possibly disabilities, in order to support them in their path at university, and the other is for getting in touch, to get in touch with other students, to live within the community of the students. But this is not all. That's where we need the support of Caritas International and other NGOs, because the most difficult thing is to get in touch with the community, the external community, which is the society. That is a serious problem, because then you get in trouble once you have to get your legal papers which could be to have a document, to have a bank account, to have the national sanitation system in order to be able to be taken care of your health. And in that situation, you really need the civil society, the charity, the idea of cooperation, of support. And that is a very important step which we make together with the Caritas. I mean, we're not separate, each one doing his own work, but we're working together, planning and organizing according to each situation, especially taking into account the kind of realities these kids are coming from. Because, for instance, when we started working with UNHCR, the Unicore, the corridor pathway, now we reached the 5th years, and a few weeks ago a student got his degree. It was extremely important also to think together how to give the opportunity to settle to these students, to become workers, because, okay, they've got a degree, then we have our career service at Lewis, who is providing them with interviews with different kind of works, could be in the administration, in banks, in factories, and we take care of these students. But then when they finish their university degree, we then take care of them once they are in a job. When they have the opportunity to get in the job, then they must not be left alone, because the whole structure will fail unless there is heart, as it was said this morning. And heart is the most important thing, because cooperation is made not for titles, but for human beings. And human security means working together to build a cooperation which really can create the opportunity for a real inclusion, in order to have a win-win occasion to support refugees. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. We're very conscious that time is against us, and we do have other speakers to hear from this morning. And so we'll pass straight to Andrew Sir, who is Head of Migration and Asylum for Caritas in Belgium. And I think one thread that has been running through all of this morning, and now as we begin with the second panel, and that is how support is an absolute pillar of corridors, whether they be humanitarian corridors, education corridors, or other. So I'm interested to hear from a Belgian perspective what kind of support is offered not only to those who come through the pathways, but also to the communities which welcome them.
Hello, everybody. First of all, we are very small in the student pathways, and Oliviero and all the colleagues know that we are working very hard to push the government to be more active and to be more positive, because the society, they are ready, Caritas is ready. And so, first of all, a little bit of history to know why we are involved in the EU passport, and it's very important for us, is we are, for Belgium, an implementing partner on resettlement, and also an implementing partner on community sponsorship for resettled refugees. And we are part of the SHARE network. On this, we learn from each other, and when we receive a demand from Italy to take part on the student pathway, it was a kind of logical yes, we say. And we thought that it would be very easy to bring students to Belgium, to refugees, because it was for us a kind of persons they were in need. And to study, it's the most easiest way to convince, I think, communities. But it was not the case. First of all, it was not the case because the University of Louvain, who received over 63,000 students, and also 13,000 international students, and 133 refugee students, meaning students that receive refugee status in Belgium, were very surprised about this demand. A demand to bring 3 refugees to Belgium. Only 3. That was the first thing we did. We convinced first the university to participate on that program that we thought was easy, and this was difficult. After that, we thought it was very easy to bring students, refugee students, to Belgium, because in Italy it goes fluently, even in Ireland it goes fluently, but not in Belgium. So we had to discuss for more than 1 year to discuss about a humanitarian visa for the students. It took us 1 year, and now for the second phase, we need 3 more humanitarian visas, and again, it is a bigger discussion. It's all very politically. But we achieved to discuss along, and I know that the colleagues from Caritas Italy, they don't understand that, so it's just logical. They are in need, you bring those students to Belgium. But we try to do it on a sustainable way. We want to try to bring this, that there is a kind of legal status, a legal basis that when we discuss, they cannot say no for the future, because we want, and that was the recent discussion we had with the ministry, we really want to have in 2026 50 students to come to Belgium, not only because there is a project, but because there is a need of a responsibility, a solidarity, not only from the community, but also from our governments. So that is also very important to underline. There is also a responsibility of our government to take that in consideration. So we will do a lot of advocacy on that way. So we started, and for us this was then achieved, and so we could receive 3 students for graduating, and they arrived in August, and they are now really well embedded in the university. And they came on humanitarian visa, and so this was also very important for us to do that, because at the other one hand, we wanted to have a refugee status and to bring them as refugee, but this discussion brought us in a kind of no man's land. So we decided that, okay, best to come with a humanitarian visa for study reasons. And we see that this for the students, and I think to put also the students in the center of our discussion, is for them it was very important to have the freedom when they arrived in Belgium to choose in what direction they want to go. So 2 of them asked asylum, and 1 stayed still in a humanitarian visa situation because she is still thinking about returning. And for her, it's the girl that decided that it was very important to have an open vision on that. 1 of the 2 who asked asylum received already a refugee status. So all status decide what your future will be. So what is the role of Caritas in all this? Caritas is the intermediate organization who guides the university, who guides also our government, because they were not aware about this humanitarian visa problem for the students. So we push them to take their responsibility, and we guide also the community. And what I said previously, the most important thing is you have a wide range of support when you are a student, because you are part of the university, but what's happened after that? And so Caritas is preparing the students for the life after that, depending on their status, because if they're refugees, they have all families. So family reunification will be one of the things we will follow up for them. It's not easy. It's a very hard procedure. We will also help them to find a second house. Housing is for all European countries a really difficult thing. So they have now a student house, but when they will have finished their students, their degree, they will maybe stay, they will have to move. They will have to change from community. So we are preparing a lot the second phase, because the first phase is quite supported by the university, and we are preparing the students for their sustainable, durable life in Belgium.
Thanks so much, Anne. And I think also that just gives us a little bit of insight into the work that goes into building programs like this, the different building blocks that are needed. These pathways aren't created overnight, however ambitious, however creative, however determined we are. They really need hard work, advocacy, and intermediary organisations. So thanks, Anne, for those insights. We're going to hear now from Dr. Andrew Flaus, who is a lecturer at the University of Biological and Chemical Sciences at the University of Galway in Ireland. And as Anne alluded to, there is a pilot pathway underway in Ireland. So we're really interested to hear a bit about the experience of building this programme, perhaps some of the supports that have been needed to put it in place and the outcomes for the students involved.
That's great. I'm very happy to be here. You should always worry about a university person wearing a suit, because it's a very unusual way to be standing. And you should be doubly worried when you see them come on slides. But I just wanted to introduce our university a little bit. So we're on the very west of Ireland, so the very west of Europe. So we filter all of the weather. If you don't like your weather, we've already seen it. So Okay, so our university, very much like many universities in Europe, was founded about 175 years ago, so a long history. We had a slightly different name anyway, Galway, until recently. And we have very rich roots in Irish culture in the west of Ireland, a very friendly and welcoming environment. And we have about 19,000 students, so a typical sort of size for a university. About 1 in 6 of them are international students, and about a third of our faculty are quite international. So universities are already quite international places. Very recently, our university strategy set out these 4 goals to guide us. And of course, excellence, sustainability are very important for any university, but also these goals of respect and openness as well. And so this is where the EU Password project fitted very well. So if we could go to the next slide. So our journey with EU Password was that UNHCR Ireland asked us to get involved back in 2021. And so I think you can see that it takes a while for a university to get itself moving, but we officially launched our activities with the involvement of the president, high levels of the university in 2022. Then, with the help of the NGOs, UNHCR Ireland, and an Irish migrant charity called NASC, we set up a community sponsorship group, which is independent of the university, but integrates both civil society outside the university and our own university membership, both faculty and students. Opened applications, interview and selection in May 2023, and then 2 students arrived in September 2023. Now, the interesting thing here is that we originally planned to only bring 1 student to the university because it's a pilot project, as Fiona mentioned. But we were so amazed, so inspired by the candidates that we had in the interview. In fact, I always think that what I wanted to do was to go to my own students and shake them and say, why don't you care about education as much as these students care about education? So very inspiring to be involved with this. They arrived September, and they're undertaking their studies now in environmental health and safety and in biotechnology, the 2 students respectively. And I'll talk about a couple of aspects of this in the next couple of slides. They should graduate, so we have a 1-year, 12-month intensive master's program where we already have a commitment, in brackets, that means we're still agreeing about the money, to bring another 2 students in next year as well. And we want to broaden out to inspire other Irish universities. And next slide. Okay, so I think, well, the important point here, though, is that the perspective we took as a university is that these are capable students in their own right. They're just unable to access education in the way that other types of students, other international or local students would. And that's a really important point for getting the university community to accept the nature of the refugee students, because there's a lot of misunderstanding about what a refugee, what an asylum seeker is, and what they're doing. So the credibility of the selection process is very important. Obviously, we've talked about supports and integration. The other point I want to make is about creating a pathway into employment as well. So if we go to the next slide. Okay, here I'll go, just because in the interest of time, can we go one more slide, please? Here we go. Okay, so the important point here about the design of our process that I'd like to get across is that we maximize the alignment with the normal processes of the university. So to give everyone confidence, the matriculation, so the recognition of qualifications, the housing, the internships, everything was done as much as possible using normal systems to not have to create anything new. And this was based upon our internal University Sanctuary program, which works with local candidates in need of support. But the very important part of that is it gives everybody, both the faculty of the university, but also the students themselves, confidence that they're legitimate, they're the same as everybody else, that they have just as much right to be there as anybody. So I think that's a very important point about integrating as deeply and as directly as possible. Next slide. And then the second part of our design that I'd like to highlight is that we also thought about what we were offering. So we offered 5 different potential degree programs for the students to come into. And we thought about the fact that these had to have exit pathways into some sort of employment, some sort of obvious employment opportunity. So I'm not sure how much you know about Ireland's economy, but it's quite a high-tech economy, and it's very much based around IT, but also around biopharmaceuticals and around medical device technology. So we have effectively full employment for anybody with qualifications in those types of areas. So this means there's a very high skills demand. It's very easy to integrate and to imagine a pathway out of these qualifications, well recognized by Irish employers, into a stable future, as has been discussed before. And so we're very lucky that a sort of a medium-sized company, which had actually spun out of the university 25 years ago, had as their 25th anniversary, 25 symbolic actions that they wanted to do to depend upon, to reflect their values. And they chose the EU Passport, these students, to support for that. So they gave some funding, a small amount of funding, but most importantly, they've given placements to these students, internships, so that the students have real experience when they graduate and will be able to follow on further. So we're very grateful for that. And we think that that's a really important part of the project, is engaging with industry as well. And then the third point, and just to finish off, is that it takes a village, in the sense that there is a lot of positivity from everybody we go to within the university community and in general outside the university community to operate this. So there's a lot of goodwill if you can show that it aligns with things that they're comfortable with. And I think that's a very important part. Community sponsorship group, as has been mentioned, is enormously important for the process. It involves both university and people from the broader community. It's student-led, and there's a really interesting aspect there that some of the students are now, because they're often from social science backgrounds, even though the actual refugee students that we have are in science and engineering, these social science type students are getting experience themselves, which they're using then to get jobs to demonstrate their own experiences engaging in NGOs within Ireland. So the universities actually having an opportunity to work with people like yourself as NGOs is quite an interesting experience for us that comes as a spin out and extra value for this. So it's a new direction for our international impact. Okay, so I think just to finish off then, I think it's important though to think about it for the future for sustainability, and we've heard that from Oliviero a little bit, this flavor of what are the broader goals? What's the structure we're trying to do here? Because I asked my dean, the Dean of Science and Engineering, why are we doing this? And he said, well, it's a good thing to do, isn't it? And I said, yeah, but how sustainable is doing good things, in the sense that it can easily fall off the priorities list. So I think that we need to continue evolving the thinking here, certainly on the university side. Maybe as NGOs, you're much more familiar with this, but within the university, about what we're doing for the students, why we're doing it for the university, why we're doing it for the wider community, and how we can optimize the societal impacts of that. So I think that there's room to go from where we are, proving certainly in Ireland that this can be done, that everybody is positive about it, to actually making real impacts. Okay, and okay, so we can go past that. Well, I'll just make the point here. So I've got a slide with some strengths and weaknesses, and I made this slide originally sort of a year ago before we had started, and you can see I've crossed some of the things off, because it turned out the weaknesses and the threats aren't weaknesses and threats as well. But this strength, demonstrating university values in action, and this enriching the campus and community are things which are real opportunities and real strengths that I think I've put in bold here, because I've come to think they're even more important than they were. But you can see it's always good when you can cross off some of your problems from a list as well. Okay, and then just the very last slide, I'd like to acknowledge, you can see the variety of people, UNHCR Ireland and NAF, the migrant charity in Ireland, also our community sponsorship group, people within the university, Erigin, this company, biomedical device company, and of course the EU Password Network, because being part of a network, part of a really well-functioning group of people is a really inspiring thing.
Thanks so much to Andrew for those fascinating insights. I'm sure, like me, you'll have lots of questions, and I'm going to have to ask you to keep your questions until after we conclude, because we are so short of time. We're going to pivot now to the next stage of a person's life, perhaps a period post-university, or where there isn't an academic path, that period where people need to find work and think about labour mobility with the next couple of speakers. I don't think any of us in this room would have imagined a couple of years ago that the present Italian administration would be amongst the early adopters of labour mobility for refugees. However, we've all been proved wrong this year, and the Italian government has, to our great surprise, included a special quota for refugees in the numbers who can come with work permits to Italy, just 250 every year for the next 3 years, but it's a step that perhaps few of us dared to imagine. But in the background, quietly, other people have been working on how to bring people and how to focus on their employment situation, and that's included Caritas. And to that end, I'm delighted to invite Monica Molteni to speak with us from Consortio Comunitas. Monica is a lawyer by profession, a diversity and inclusion manager who's worked both in the for-profit and not-for-profit sector, and so very well placed to bring different sectors together to build bridges that are needed to match people who are in difficulty with employers, and not just. And it's really that I'd like you to talk about, some of your experience in matching refugees with employers, some of the challenges you face and how you've addressed that. So, thank you.
Thank you very much, Fiona. Good morning, everyone. I'm very happy to be here today. EU Password project gave us an opportunity to realize what I think until recently was impossible to imagine, and I'm talking about labor pathways. And this project gave me the opportunity to realize the first labor pathways in Italy. Exactly 1 year ago, I met the first group of people who were selected to arrive in Italy with labor pathways, and there are 12 Afghan people that were welcomed in Pakistan and arrived in Italy. 1 year ago, we started the process to realize the first labor pathways, and in this case, we developed the process in five steps. First of all, we met the group of beneficiaries to get to know them and to try the starting of the process. In the second step is very important, because in Italy, you know, if you want to find a job, you have to speak Italian very well. And we started in January 2023 the course, Italian language course. And the first step is for us very important: the signature of an alliance and trust pact. What's the meaning of this? Both parties, and when I talk about both parties, I refer to who represent the project, EU Password, and the candidates. So both parties express their willingness, they declare their willingness to express themselves with the utmost transparency. This is very important because we have to create an alliance between the project and the people who arrived in Italy. And the first step is another important thing, because we have to organize a pre-departure preparation. What we do in this case? We organize some courses to prepare the candidates for the interview with the companies. In this case, we organize these courses to inform, to prepare the candidates with the interview with the companies, and to ensure they convey the trust in this new type of recruiting channel. We think that this is a good chance to know to all people this type of labor pathways. And another important step is the prepare of a personal file for each candidate, and this personal file is a file that we may be available for the community that welcome the people. And this personal file is composed by an updated CV, and video presentation of each candidate, and we collect the result of the hard skill assessment and the result of the attending the Italian language course, and the level of involvement of the candidates, of the student. And at the end, we have to we prepare a soft skill assessment. All these outputs are available for the community that will welcome the students, the candidates, and these 5 steps that I tell you are the bricks that we have used to realize, to build the bridge with the companies. But which is the glue that holds this bridge? There are 3 elements that are very important. The trust. Remember that is very important, the brand reputation of NGO, if you want to engage the company. Second element, another important element, is networking. Networking is very important to improve and the labor pathways. And another important element that is a glue of this bridge is the vision, because if you want to engage the company, you have first of all to study very well the website of each company, and because only after you will find out if what the company write on the website is exactly what the company will do. And why the collaboration with Fondazione Italiana Accenture work? For this reason, because we didn't know each other before, and I met people like Simona Torre and Ludovica Lizzoni. Okay, thank you. And I met them that are person very curious. And this is an important element for labor pathways and for the companies. I met people with a far-sight vision. And I met Simona and Ludovica with the willing to invest their time in listening. All these elements can give us the key to realize a good project. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much. And so it feels right to conclude by hearing from Simona Torre from Fondazione Accenture. And Simona is the Secretary General of the company. Originally, her background was in design and installation of banking and IT solutions, I think. But I'm curious to know how you came to be involved, what kind of preparation the company had to make for the beneficiaries and the impacts that that has had. Simona.
Thank you, Fiona. Yes, I'm representing today the Italian Foundation of Accenture. And just a few preliminary words about the foundation, saying that one of its key projects is a project named Ready for IT, which is a training and a placement program in the IT sector for young people in vulnerable and disadvantaged situations. Which is very close to one of the two pillars of Accenture mission. And we are running this program, and we were running this program, and a couple of years ago, more or less, in occasion of the, let's say, unexpected and sudden flow of Afghan people to Italy, we understood that something was changing, something new was happening in the migration phenomenon, and we decided with Ready for IT to embrace this target, and with the objective to identify the people coming from there with the proper, let's say, educational background, attitude, expectation, interest in starting a professional career in the IT sector in Italy, and follow them from A to Z, from the moment they arrive to the moment that they find a job and they are able to become independent and autonomous in our country. It was done together with a very rich network of partners, funding partners like other foundations like us, and also with companies. So it's a profit and non-profit collaboration, contributing in kind to the project, but in a very concrete and measurable way. So we started with these pilot classes. The training was just remotely based to allow everybody to join these courses, regardless the location they were around Italy. And it was a pilot with like 14 refugees, all of them, I would say, from Afghanistan. It was very successful. So, so all of them got the end of our courses. They got the certification, and they found a job quite easily, let me say.
in the following months. So we decided to scale this experiment, and it was just in the middle of this scaling program that we had the occasion to meet Monica, and she was proposing to us to include in our classes also a girl temporarily in Pakistan but ready to come to Italy, who was showing a true interest in improve her education in the IT sector, very interested in one of the topics of our courses, which is the cybersecurity. And we decided that she was saying to try this and to explore this new way of training people even when they were still abroad, so outside Italy, but to get them prepared to access Italy and be, let's say, ready to enter the job market. And this happens with a very special girl that we would like to present you today through a video that we did it the day of the graduation, the day we delivered to all the students of the class the certificate of completion of the course. So let's see Safia.
Per me, Ready for It è opportunità.
Ho incontrato Safia nel dicembre 2022 grazie ad un progetto sperimentale dei corridoi lavorativi che è capitanato da Caritas Italiana, e il mio compito è stato quello di aiutarla a conoscere il mondo del lavoro in Italia e soprattutto ad aiutarla a trovare il suo percorso di inserimento lavorativo.
I'm Safia Poya, I'm from Afghanistan. I started this course when I was in Pakistan, in Islamabad. I was the first student who was taking this course from abroad country. I was in Pakistan while I was taking this course. And it was not easy for me, but I tried my best to manage the time. And I remember the day I submit my project, I was on the way to airport. I submit my project in the car. Thanks to Fondazione Italiana Accento for bringing this opportunity for us. I was interested in the IT field and computer field, but I didn't know exactly which part I'm really interested. But when I took this course and get information about IT, networking and cybersecurity, the cybersecurity was the field that I was not only reading the chapter and doing the projects, it was the field that I was searching online more to learn more about this, that's why.
Face to Safia, the girl we used as a pilot for this pathway, and let's say that in the past 2 years we have trained around 250 refugees. 65% found a job. They already found a job in Italy in the IT sector, so we are quite proud of the results. Of course, is an individual process. Let me say that for each of them, there was a special care and dedication, because it's a long journey from the moment they arrive to the moment they really become independent with their job and able to take care of themselves and happy with their new life in our country. Safia is the only case, a very happy case, and today she works for EY. You will ask yourself why she's not working for Accenture, simply because EY was faster in the recruiting process. She was so brilliant and so nice and so clever that the fastest company was properly the one who hired them. We are still in contact with Safia, but also with the employer company, and they are very happy on both sides of this experience. So we just hope this is not just an isolated case, but we really hope we will be able to replicate hundreds and hundreds of times the same episode.
Thanks so much, Simona. What a set of rich and inspiring remarks. I'm going to invite Gabriela Agatiello from ICMC Europe to give some concluding remarks. Before that, first of all, I would invite Clara from the Caritas Uganda delegation to come and say a word. And while she's coming up, how about a round of applause for our wonderful panel?
Thank you so much. My name is Clara Simon, a South Sudanese and a refugee in the settlement in northern Uganda. I'm happy to share my experience. In 2016, when I was 16-year-old in South Sudan, the war broke out and I got abducted, and I stayed for 4 years in the bush, and I got pregnant in the bush, and I gave birth to 2 children, 2 girls, and in 2020, that's when I got the opportunity of coming out from the bush. I ran from the bush and I looked for my way to Uganda. And that's when I got where my parents stayed and I united with them. It was really a very sad moment to me in that time. Things were hard for me and the trauma was so much. So in 2020, it was really so bad with me. And in 2021, I got empowered by Caritas Uganda through the funding from Caritas Norway on how to make liquid soap, bath soap, and bathing soap. So it really helped me so much. When I make those products and I sell, I can meet at least few of my needs, though not all, but I can really help the kids. Because when I came from the abduction, my young daughter was 2 months. It was really so hard. And in the due course of staying in the settlement, things are hard, but I was managing. But suddenly, it's so sad that I did not get opportunity of going to school again up to today, because I cannot afford to pay myself as well the kids. So I'm also praying that if there's a well-wisher who will really support me in education, I am so much willing, because I've not fulfilled my dreams. I was cut short. I didn't wish to have children in this age, but it has happened. I had no option. But I really pray so much that if there's a well-wisher who will support me in education, I'll be so much grateful. Thank you.
Thank you. I think it's a stark reminder of why this kind of work matters so much. Thank you for sharing your experience. Gabriela, over to you to conclude and lead us into lunch.
Thank you, Fiona. How is everybody doing? Are you still here with us? Yeah? A round of applause for all the speakers, please. For all the wonderful things you heard. So my name is Gabriela Agatiello. I work for ICMC Europe, the International Catholic Migration Commission, the Europe office based in Brussels. And as was mentioned earlier, one of the 3 co-hosts of this event. At ICMC Europe, we have been championing the development of community sponsorship schemes like the humanitarian corridors in France, in Italy, and resettlement-based sponsorship programs in Belgium and in other countries. And also the development of complementary education and labor pathways across Europe. We are also a partner in the EU Passworld project, and we work with many of the partners here today, and through our shared network that we coordinate, we offer a multi-stakeholder platform that provides a space for mutual exchange, learning, best practice exchange, and advocacy on the development of safe pathways, complementary pathways, and community sponsorship. And I actually have a publication that we published recently. For those of you who are interested in learning more about the different community sponsorship schemes across Europe, This is a nice publication. It gives you a good summary of all the different programs in Europe and also some of the education pathways that started being developed. I have a few copies with me, but it's also accessible online, so I can share that with you. But yeah, it's hard to wrap up this event. So many interesting discussions and presentations. I encourage you, I know that there was not a lot of time for questions. I encourage you to approach all the speakers after the event, over coffee, over lunch, and ask all those questions that perhaps have been circulating and that you wanted to get more information on. But I just wanted to say that as we come to the end of this rich and thought-provoking gathering, I am really filled with inspiration by the collective dedication demonstrated by all the actors here today, and towards the development of more humanitarian education and labor corridors and pathways as a safe pathway to Europe. So from the discussions, we have witnessed the conversions, I think, of humanity, solidarity, and I think it was Alexander that said it, which is the DNA of mankind, innovation, collaboration, and shaping a vision of a more humane and inclusive world. The evolution of the corridors as safe pathways to Europe from humanitarian to education, and now more recently, as we have heard in the last panel, the development of labor mobility pathways, I think marks a positive step forward in our collective commitment to providing secure and dignified routes for those seeking protection and safety and the opportunities to continue their education and contribute their talent and skills in the societies in which they settle. Humanitarian corridors, with their focus on immediate relief and protection and wraparound community support, as we heard from the colleagues in France and in Italy, offer a beacon of hope. These corridors exemplify a holistic approach, acknowledging the importance of education, knowledge exchange, and cultural diversity in fostering resilient, thriving communities. By nurturing pathways such as education pathways, humanitarian corridors, along humanitarian ones, we are not only facilitating the journey to safety, but also laying the foundations for a brighter and more interconnected future. Education, as we have seen from the examples given, can empower individuals to rebuild their lives, contribute to their host societies, and in turn, enrich the fabric of European culture and, of course, academia as well. Beyond the individual benefits, the integration of refugees into university settings, as we have heard from the colleagues in Ireland and as well in Belgium, contributes to the rich tapestry of cultural diversity, fostering cross-cultural understanding and promoting social cohesion. University corridors can serve as bridges, connecting refugees with local communities, creating mutual understanding and breaking down societal barriers. Similarly, by providing refugees with opportunities to access the job market through labor mobility, as we heard in the last panel, we enrich host societies by tapping into a diverse pool of skills and talents. And beyond economic benefits, we can empower refugees to rebuild their lives with dignity, fostering a sense of belonging and independence. So in closing, I extend my heartfelt appreciation to all of you for your unwavering commitment to the development of safe pathways to Europe. On behalf of the three co-hosts, International Catholic Migration Commission, Caritas Internationales, and EFCE, the organizing team as well. Thank you for being such an integral part of this event. May our shared vision inspire continued collaboration, innovation, and compassion, propelling us towards a future where safe pathways not only provide refuge, but also become the conduits for a more interconnected, educated, and harmonious world. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Gabriella. And just one final housekeeping point. We are freeing up the room for another event. So could we ask you to take any of your belongings with you when you leave the room? And if you've brought cups in, to take them with you too, so that it's lovely and clean for the next people to arrive. Thanks very much. Enjoy your lunch.